What's going on, Quantum Nation? Welcome back. My name is Quantum, and today we're sitting here with the Samsung Q60T 55-inch. Now, I don't know if you can see that right there, but essentially my box was pretty wrecked by UPS, and I was kind of worried that that would have some sort of impact on the performance, quite obviously. So what I ended up doing was doing an unboxing early, so I don't really have an unboxing video, but I can go through the setup and walk you through the menus and all that good stuff. So as we fire on the TV, it's a really simple process to set it up. I mean, you guys know the drill. You put in your passwords and all that good stuff, and then you'll get to this main hub menu here, which basically is kind of where it sits for the most part. Now, we can go over into our sources. They've got, by the way, all the same things that you could expect from like last year's model, like Tizen's home, their ambient mode, their sources. I mean, everything, the layout, exactly the same. Now I've got a black menu here. The menu is going to be blue by default. If you want to change it from blue to black, this is how you do it. You go into settings, you go down to general, you go to accessibility, and then you're going to click the high contrast. And as you see, it just turned back to being blue, which I'm not a huge fan of, but somebody out there probably might like it. Now, I'm going to show you guys what the menu looks like with the blue. You know, it's Samsung's way of kind of trying to spice up old technology, trying to make it look better, I guess. I don't know. But it's literally the same layout, my dudes. Like, they haven't put any effort into the design aspect. They get fancy with, like, changing some names around. So you'll notice this year, you see picture clarity. That just means that's the soap opera effect. That's nothing crazy. And in the settings options, I'm actually going to change this back. I really hate the blue menu. I'm not a fan of it. I'm going to go ahead and click that. All right. And we're going to go into the settings here. And I'm going to make sure I dial that down so you guys can see what I'm doing. All right. So if we go into the, where is it? Down at the bottom here, shadow detail. That's basically brightness. You know how when you ramp it up, it gets really overly pale in the shadow detail areas, or really dark for the black levels. I mean, they named it appropriately, but it's still brightness. That's what it is. It's the brightness of the shadow detail. And typically it's just called brightness. Now they call the backlight brightness this year, as I think they've been doing. I'm not sure. And then contrast. I mean, it's exactly what contrast is supposed to be. So this is just backlight, and the brightness is actually the shadow detail. So they just get fancy with naming things the way that they did. One thing you will notice, there is no local dimming. So even though they said they have Supreme UHD dimming on the specifications, you won't see Smart LED anywhere. So that's indicative of you not being able to control the local dimming. So I don't know if it's something internal that's automatic and you can't disable it or something like that, but I haven't seen anything like that, and I'll show you guys now. As I ramp this up, you guys can see, like, it's pretty gray. It's not exactly showing me any kind of local dimming. So typically with edge-lit displays like this, you'd see a vertical column going down there, and I'm not seeing anything like that. So I can't really put my hat on the fact that they've done anything different with local dimming, but I'll digress from that point and just kind of say whatever works for them, you know? Also, be careful, because you may see other YouTubers claim that this is like a really great TV for black levels or whatever nonsense people like to say these days. It's so far not really. I mean, it's got some bright spots, as you guys can see. I'm going to go ahead and turn down my ISO here so you guys can see. This is what happens when you turn down the ISO. You can be like, oh my god, look at how crazy deep black levels, crazy the black levels are and how deep everything is. Like, it's a game that a lot of people play. I don't know why people like to justify their purchases instead of reviewing the product fairly, but you will run into that, so just be mindful of that. Now, when we go into our footage here that I just kind of have loaded up on a thumb drive, we're going to go into Spider-Man, since it's like the most cinematic game, and we're just going to kind of show you guys some skin tones and things of that nature. Now, you're not going to see 100% representation, obviously, because that's just not how, you know, this works. The colors are not that saturated, so, you know, you're going to have to follow the commentary. But essentially, Miles Morales is a little bit more pale, and by a little bit, I mean a lot. Unfortunately, the colors are seeing a significant juiced up effect, because that's just what's happening in the camera. But on my end, it's definitely like a lot more pale, Oh, the detail is relatively acceptable. I mean, trust me, it does. I wish it looked like it's looking on the phone here. Like looking at it, man. Like if it looked like that, that'd be like a total win. But it does not look like. Excuse me here. It does not look like that. So you're gonna have to keep that in mind. Now I'm gonna show you guys some stuff with some highlights here, so you guys can kind of see what it looks like. So let's kind of go through and let's get some action going here. Let's start you from right about there, right? And at least this way you guys are able to see a little bit of what it can do motion wise. That's something that might pick up pretty well. The motion's not great, but it's also not terrible. It's pretty fluid for a budget TV, so if you're on the fence about that, that's something. It's decent. It's not the best motion, again, that I've ever seen in my life, but you know, there definitely are worse TVs, like, you know, older Sony X930E TVs and things of that nature, so don't really have to worry about that. And as you guys can see, it does have decent brightness, so even though it's not the brightest TV on the market, it's not gonna, you know, revolutionize anything anytime soon in terms of brightness. It's still good enough, right? Like you guys can clearly see where it's shining and things like that. Spider-Man swinging around and things like that nature. I mean, it looks good. It looks good. I mean, kind of repeating myself a little bit here, but there's not a whole lot I can do for a first impression. I can say for a first impression, I would say this is an average TV. I mean, it's a budget QLED, right? It'll impress you if you're coming from something older maybe, but if you've seen a high-end TV, this probably won't do that much for you. I got to get it calibrated and see how else it performs, but so far it's just all right. You know what I mean? It's not good and it's not bad. So I hope you guys found this video helpful and it's at least showing you a little bit more. Ask me some questions and what you guys would like to see and what you guys would like me to test, and we'll get that going for you guys here shortly. I want to thank you guys for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and as always, until the next video, I'll see you guys later.